A lot of people don't have the willpower to say no because they're disoriented. In engineering, you always orient yourself to the north arrow. That's why they say follow the North Star. A lot of people are following the South Star, or they're following the East Star, or they're following no star at all. They're not in the right orientation, not being in the right mind space. They're not in the right head space to even begin to know where they're at. When you aren't completely committed and have clarity of exactly the when, the what, and the how of what you want to do, it is easy for you to be led astray. You'll be committed until a distraction comes up. You'll be focused until you see a girl trying to get into your DMs. You'll be super motivated until your friend hits you up and tells you, yeah, that's not even worth it. Take this fat burner pill and that'll get you the results. A lot of times these people will be leaves in the wind, going with the flow. If you can't orient yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually to align with that goal, a lot of times it's gonna fall to the wayside.
Was eating to live, yeah, I'm living to eat. Catch me enjoying vegan recipes. Fiend for chlorophyll.
Greetings, it's your boy Gartatia. Gotta go, gotta rush, gotta blast. Before I blast, I want to talk about something that hopefully can help orient you all. A lot of us are, we're on a mission. A lot of us are ambitious. A lot of us are, bullheaded, full speed ahead on our purpose. And a lot of times we rush into things. A lot of us see something flashy on TV or see somebody doing something and we think that, oh, we could do that, looks easy. And we kind of just rush into things without really doing the work to know who we are, without really, not taking the online test, personality test, but putting your personality to the test, seeing if, what makes you tick, looking at your core values and really kind of doing the due diligence to see who you are so then you can find out where you want to go. And what kind of made me come to this, huge concept is I was actually at the airport. So, I work in the tunnels at O'Hare. And, we gather with the team. We talk to one of the workers there. And they kind of escort us down 4 flights of stairs. And, we're just descending into the depths of hell. And, as we're walking, we kind of get these cool little mine carts. And it's like little bumper cars, but they're painted yellow and they make these loud honk noises that echoes through the tunnel. So like you hear it and it's like shocks you and spooks you around the corner. Anywho, we enter this tunnel and then they escort us to these gates. They open the gates and it's like this whole section under Terminal 1. That's the new section we're at now. And we are in the tunnel. We've never been here before. And we're kind of take like 15 to 20 minutes before we even go anywhere, just forming a little circle, plotting out where we are, right? So we got our iPads out. We're kind of huddled up like, okay, so we're orienting the map, right? We're looking at comparing things. We're looking around like, okay, this feature looks similar to what's on the map, so we must be around here. We're looking at different maps. We're looking at each other like, what do you think? Like, based on the parts of the tunnel, because we'd all been at different parts of the tunnel. We're looking at orientation, like are we facing the right direction? We're walking around the place to see if things match the background, match the map, right? We're seeing if we have the wrong map. There's like multiple, like there's like a bigger map and there's the map sometimes is zoomed in and it's too zoomed in to see where you're at. So sometimes you need the bigger overall map, the key plan, to see kind of where you're at. So we're using between those 2 maps. All the maps can't fit on one screen, so we're swiping between the different maps to kind of figure out where we're at. So I'm saying all this to say, we spent about upwards of an hour kind of just figuring out where we're at, going through the motions before we even step foot anywhere, right? As us being the good engineers we are, through experience, we know that to start any project, you have to have a plan, right? And a lot of us in life, we feel the need to just, I feel like this age of technology, everyone wants success to just come immediately. I was watching this video by, I forgot his name. He's this life insurance influencer, but he drops the most like un-life insurance like advice. And he dropped this real fact. He was like, men today need to chill. He was speaking on how the frontal lobe of young men is not fully developed until 25. And a lot of young men are under 25, feeling like they burnt out, feeling like they want to give up, contemplating suicide. And he's just telling them, like, slow the fuck down. Slow down. Your frontal lobe, literally, as a man, is not fully developed until 25. And I like how he was saying how if people are 26, 27, 28, really, if you say you've been working on your business since 18 and you're 28, what he was saying is you haven't been really working on it for 10 years. What he's really saying is because your brain, that maturity, that, situational awareness, that understanding of your intuition, all these things kick in, which really are the things that take you to the next level. That doesn't kick until 25. So he was telling young men that actually you've only been working on it for 3 years. You think you've been working on music since you was 13 and now you're 30. You actually only been working on it for 5 years. So that just gave some great perspective on how we all need we need a roadmap for us to help us get to that destination. And in addition to the roadmap, we need to know where we're at on the map, right? A lot of us, we have the where to, or we think we know the where to of where we need to go. So we kind of just hop on the where to. We see a bunch of our friends becoming rappers, and we see like some of them blow up, like, oh, yeah, that was my homeboy on the block, and now he Little Durk now. Or my friend was talking about how he used to bump Little Durk back in 2012 when Little Durk was local, only had like 5K streams and stuff, and now Little Durk is literally doing songs with Drake. So we see how people grow. We see how people evolve. Little Durk probably started at a teen, like 15, 16. Little Durk is maybe around my age. He might be near 30. But if you look at it, right, that thing is so true. Like, when have you seen his growth? It's mostly been within the past 5 years, right? After that frontal lobe kicked in. After he found himself on that map. Going back to that map. He not only, he had the map. He been had the map. The map was, I see Chief Keef and them blowing up. I see Freddie in the cut blowing up, right? So guess what? I'm going to blow up too. That was his map. But he didn't know where he was. So he spent a lot of time trying to find himself on the map or trying to get to that destination. And, he was making slow and steady progress. I'm not saying give up, but the exponential progress didn't happen until that point where he found himself. A lot of times it happens after your frontal lobe is fully developed, after you're like 25 and shit, right? So I say all this to say, before you feel the need to just hop into the new trend, right? You're in school, for example, and all your friends decide to just start a business, right? I'm not saying don't start a business, but maybe look into your personality type. Maybe you're a worker bee. Some people are worker bees. Some people like to work in the business that they're trying to start. Some people want to start a cooking business, but they actually like to do the cooking. Some people like to start a marketing business and they like to sell door to door, right? Some people like to start a carpentry business, but they want to be the ones in the workshop, carving out the woods. They want to be the ones with the equipment, blowing off the sawdust, right? These are the people, I call them worker bees, right? They want to be the queen bee and the worker bee at the same time. But the thing is, neither is right or wrong. You just have to know, are you a queen bee or are you a worker bee? A lot of people look at their friends or look at their peers or look on social media or people they admire and look up and say, oh, that would be nice. I would love to do that. I feel like I could do that. But the question they should be asking themselves is doing that something that the real them would A, want to do, and B, commit to doing it. A lot of these people who are successful at whatever they're doing, they have had these two components, these two circles filled in. They've wanted to do it. One is actually a bad word. They were obsessed with doing it. And B, they were committed to doing it. Let's break these down. Obsessed with doing something means that you can't stop thinking about it. I had a podcast guest yesterday, and he told me he was a computer science major, and while a lot of his friends were getting drunk on the weekends, a lot of his friends were doing extracurriculars, having fun and partying and hooking up and stuff, he said what he was doing for fun was working on his apps. He's created multiple apps. I think over 5 or 6 different apps over the course of 6 years. He just keeps all pouring all of his energy, all of his life essence that's outside of school, that's outside of work, that's outside of family. It's all going to his purpose, which is he just loves coding. He just loves tech. He just loves building apps, right? So that's what he does. It's become his hobby. I would say he's obsessed with it. That's what I call obsessed. Wanting something is more so you enjoy doing it, but that's not the only thing you like to do. Like you don't mind taking a month and not even doing it, and you wouldn't lose any sleep. And also you wouldn't be depressed if you didn't do it. Obsessed with something is if you don't get that itch, if you don't get that fix of your purpose, it's like a drug. If you don't get that hit of your purpose, you fiending. You having withdrawal symptoms. You know what I'm saying? If you don't shoot that purpose up your nose, you know what I'm saying? You feeling anxious, you feeling uneasy, you feeling depressed, right? Make your purpose like your heroin, and you'll never have to worry about being bored again. You'll never have to worry about feeling like worthless. You'll never have to worry about not having a sense of importance, right? Everybody gets their sense of importance from different things, right? You have to ask yourself, what brings you importance? That's one way to find out where you're at on the map. Once you find out, what gets you turned on, what makes you tick, what gives you a sense of fulfillment in life. Once you find that, then you pull out the map and say, okay, let's start planning stuff out. Let's go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Then you plan it out and things kind of fall into your lap. But a lot of people just want to skip steps. A lot of people just want to, some people know where they're at, right? But then they have like little pieces of the map. So remember, going back to the engineering, we have like zoomed in portions of the map, and then you have the overall map called the key plan. So a lot of people, they found out where they're at on the zoomed in version, right? A lot of people in life, they hyper focused on one small goal, and it's a goal that they can achieve, and it's the goal that they really like on that path, and they really are committed to. However, on the overall map of their life, that thing leads somewhere that they don't want to go. But because they zoomed in too much on that small zoomed in plan and didn't see the overall plan, the key plan, or where that was going to take them, a lot of times they wonder why, they fell out of love. Sometimes people say they fall out of love, some marriages. It's like, oh, we just stay together for the kids. Oh, we've been falling out of love. Or, oh, we haven't had sex in years. Like, people talk about falling out of love with relationships, or falling out of love with passions, or falling out of love with friends. People fall out of love with their purpose all the time. And a lot of times people fall out of love with their purpose. It isn't because they weren't committed to it at one point. It isn't because they even weren't obsessed with it at one point. A lot of times people fall out of love with their purpose is because they didn't have the foresight or the clarity of what that purpose lead to. That purpose being the first step of a process. What was that process? Was that process something that would keep them glued to the screen, keep them locked in for 5 years, for 10 years, for 15 years, for a lifetime, right? Some people know where they're at on the map. They think they know where they're at, but their orientation is off. Sometimes, one thing in engineering, you always orient yourself to the north arrow. The north arrow is what guides you. So it's like, okay, if this map is facing north, then I know where I'm facing. So that's why they say follow the North Star, right? A lot of people, they are following the South Star, or they're following the East Star, or they're following no star at all. So they're not in the right orientation. And what does that mean? Not being in the right mind space. They're not in the right head space to even begin to know where they're at. So a lot of times these people will be leaves in the wind, going with the flow. These are the people, they'll say, I want to have a 6-pack abs before Spring Awakening 2023. And these are the people, for the first 2 weeks, they're dedicated, they're committed. They're going 3 days a week. They're doing push-ups, 20 push-ups a day. They're waking up 6 crunches before I go to bed, right? They're sipping diet soda, and they're putting a bunch of celery inside their morning smoothie. And then what happens is, here comes June, and then their friend hits them up on some, yo, let's go to the beach. And they start hanging out, and then they don't have the willpower to say no. And that's the problem. A lot of people don't have the willpower to say no because they're disoriented. When you aren't completely committed and have clarity of exactly the when, the what, and the how of what you want to do, it is easy for you to be led astray. You'll be committed until a distraction comes up. You'll be focused until you see a girl trying to get into your DMs. You'll be super motivated until your friend hits you up and tells you, oh, yeah, that's not even worth it. Like, take this fat burner pill and that'll get you the results. You'll be super excited about it until the festival gets canceled. Then it's like, why was I even doing this? If you don't make goals that are sustainable, if you don't make goals that are just deeper than just on the surface of looking good for that event, or something that is not something that you can specifically say, okay, I'm gonna wake up and go to this gym at this time, or I'm gonna do push-ups in this room for 6 sets, at this location. If you can't get clear about it, if you can't orient yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually to align with that goal, a lot of times it's gonna fall to the wayside, right? And I gotta step out. But the last thing I do wanna talk about is, sometimes, people don't orient themselves. We talked about that. Or sometimes they're too zoomed in. Sometimes they don't even have the right map. Sometimes people don't have even the right map. It's the wrong map. And that almost happened to us. We were looking through the plans and then it was the wrong fucking map, right? Or they forgot to give us that page of the map. So sometimes the map of our life is missing pages, right? And instead of, okay, we haven't thought that far ahead, or we haven't gotten to the point where we're going to receive that map, a lot of us shut down. A lot of us said, well, because I don't have a roadmap for this thing that in my perfect world I wanted to do, then I'm just going to do nothing. I'm just going to be lazy. I'm just going to fall into mediocrity and just let my passion subside, right? But the key to that is you have to still, what they say, any map. Not any map is better than no map, but sometimes a zoomed in map is better than, sometimes you don't have the bigger picture. So sometimes it's okay to take on a hobby or something that you are semi-passionate about and do that long enough just to kind of not bide you time, but give your spirit something to work on in the background while you're coming up with the main map, right? So sometimes expect in life to not always have the plan, to not always know where to go, but have faith that with time it's going to reveal itself. But don't in that time kill the time, waste time, spend time circle jerking or fucking around, or just mindlessly wasting away your life and energy. Spend that time still dedicated to something, because the work you put in anywhere always comes back tenfold. Doesn't matter where you put it. Where energy flows, attention follows, and progress develops and blossoms, and then you're going to be a tree, and then your leaves are going to be everywhere, and you're just going to provide so much oxygen to this world. And I'm super excited. But yeah, I got to go to work. Hope this helped. As always, stay hydrated, stay breathing this guy's oxygen, and most importantly, stay basic. I love you.